Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday morning to you. Okay, YouTube is working with me, so we're back to the one video format. So there's only one video. There's a lot in here, though. We're covering where Meghan taped, the recipes Meghan used, the backlash on X. There's a lot in here, so it's super long, so just hang with me. And of course, before that, I have a few other things we're going to discuss. So yeah, there's a lot in here. It is chock full, so hang on with me. Let's cover it all. Let's go. Really quickly, I wanted to point out this comment from my subscriber, Zephyr, who said that all their notifications were turned off on all their channels. So please just double check and make sure you've hit the notification bell so you know when my videos, are uploaded. Okay? Moving on. We're going to start off with Prince William. Apparently on the Duchy of Cornwall estate, there are hundreds of old boats that have been abandoned on rivers and harbors, and villagers have said that the abandoned boats and motor vessels are littering the rivers. There's like a ton. So the Duchy has basically stepped up and said, we're going to remove some of the boats. We're going to help you guys out, which I think is really nice. All right, let's move on. Next up, this really bothers me, but Kensington Palace posted a picture of Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and a December rewind on their social media, which shows some of the highlights of some of the things that they did in the month of December, the things that are keeping the royal family busy. I love those rewinds. I love all the pictures. I think they're absolutely fabulous. All right, and let's move on. Also, on the royal family's Instagram page, they put some really nice pictures of the royal family, through the year, sending with a New Year's Eve message. Lovely. And rounding out the royals, of course, we have Mike and Zara Tindall. They are ambassadors for the Magic Millions Carnival 2025. So they attended the Magic Millions event on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia on January 3rd. Zara, in case you are unaware, is actually the patron of Magic Millions Racing Women, and she presented Teresa Poon with the 2025 Racing Women of the Year Award. The award was presented at the TAB Achievement Award ceremony in Queensland. Now, for those of you who may not be aware, this is Australia's leading thoroughbred auction house, and they hold the record for the highest grossing yearling sale in the Southern Hemisphere, and they conduct the third biggest breeding stock auction in the world. Fabulous. Moving on. All right, let's start moving into some of the Harry and Meghan stories. It's being reported that Harry really wants to go back to the UK because the United States has proven to be a, quote, abject failure. However, Meghan Markle has apparently let Prince Harry know what she thinks of that idea. Apparently, allegedly, it's being reported that Meghan is the one who's veto the idea of Harry going back to return to help out King Charles in a part-time capacity after it was known that King Charles, had cancer. That Harry, they're saying, will never be allowed to be a permanent part-time working royal, staying 6 months in the United States and 6 months in the UK. Because number one, the family no longer trusts him. And number two, Meghan Markle is dead set against it. There is too much bad blood now for it to be even remotely possible. So that is an out and out lie. We know that Harry did go back. We know that Harry met with his father. His father spent a whole 15 minutes with him before Harry had to fly home. And Harry then offered to help. And the king told him absolutely no. So whatever resentment it's being reported that the royal family has towards Harry is only half of what they have towards Meghan. But in the meantime, Harry keeps defending Meghan constantly. And so as long as Meghan remains, what they're saying is persona non grata in royal circles, Harry can't go home. A lot of people are saying that the royal family would never take Harry back. I beg to differ. I think they would take him back if he returned without Meghan Markle. It is being reported that Harry really is beginning to regret the way he handled the release of Spare and the impact it had on his family. Him talking about William knocking him to the floor and Charles never hugged him. But now that the controversy surrounding the book release has died down, Harry is like, wait a minute, I may have not gone about this the right way. So even though he's happy that he said what he said, there's some part of him now that is not happy with the way it was all handled. He's now like, wait a minute, okay, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to go home now because of the things that I said about all the family members. They don't want me back. Keep in mind, at this time, Megan is having offers apparently to write her own book, and she's considering them, but she's also aware that if she does it, there's going to be more backlash and they're going to lose even more public support, which they hardly have any at this point. Do I think that Harry regrets some of the things he said? Well, possibly, because in his Netflix docuseries, he actually said that Megan did a better job than his own family. Do you guys remember this?
Who's marrying in, who should be a supporting act, is then stealing the limelight or is doing the job better than the person who was born to do this. That upsets people. It shifts the balance. Because you've been led to believe that the only way that your charities can succeed and the only way that your reputation can be grown or improved is if you're on the front pages of those newspapers. But the media are the ones who choose who to put on the front page. First time that the penny dropped for her, Em and I spent the night in a room in Buckingham Palace after an event where every single member of the family, senior members of the family had been, including the Queen. And on the front page of the Telegraph, Meghan.
I went, oh my God.
She was like, but it's not my fault. And I said, I know. And my mum felt the same way.
So he's like, oh, Meghan, it's not your fault. You're just so much like Diana. Get it? All right, time to move on to Netflix. Now, the first thing I want to touch on is this article that said that their pointless Netflix shows are taking away chances from other creators. I happen to agree. This is no different than what happened with Spotify. Spotify gave them that huge deal, and you had all these people that were putting content up on Spotify, and they were barely getting pennies, and it was so unfair what was happening to them, and they complained bitterly, and I completely agree with their complaints. I mean, what is Spotify doing? What is Netflix doing? Now, just in case you didn't see my video on Saturday, I'm going to put a link to it into the description box. But one of the things that also upset people was just in the trailer alone, she wore over $6,000 worth of clothing. For instance, this blue thing that she's wearing, almost $1,300. Obviously, she wore more expensive stuff than that. For instance, in this scene, we only have the price of her shirt, which is over $700. That's right, $700 just for the shirt. It's from Ralph Lauren. And in case you guys think they're not merching this clothing in this line while she's doing this, she's absolutely merching. Then there's a scene where she walks in with Mindy Kaling, and the dress that she's wearing is from Amelia Wickstead, and it's almost $1,300. In another scene, she's got a sweater draped over her shoulders. That sweater alone is $400. Then in another scene, she's wearing these striped shorts, over $800. And then in the next scene, she's wearing this top, this knitted top. That top is over $110. It is not, though, just her choice of clothes that upset people. People are also looking at the fact that Meghan filmed this in a £5 million estate around the corner from her home. So she's inviting you into her home, except that's not her home. And we're going to be discussing in a little bit the recipes that aren't hers. And she's trying to play hostess and show you how much she loves people and she loves life, and it's all about being grateful. This is from a woman who refuses to call her very ill father. I predict you're going to see a lot of over-emoting from her friends about how kind and sweet and wonderful she is. Here's an example. Mindy Kaling gets a piece of sponge cake put down in front of her and says, "This is one of the most glamorous moments of my life." If that's true, I feel sorry for you. This Netflix series is an exercise in how to be a superficial celebrity. She's cooking on a stove that costs over $16,000. She's using pans that cost over $800. $100 chopping boards. I mean, it is an exercise in how the very super wealthy live. That's what this is. Even the plates that she served the food on were over $70 each, and then the bread plate was another $40. This is her problem. She is completely out of touch. She is completely tone deaf and doesn't realize how she comes across. It didn't take long then for people to start looking at the food that Megan was cooking. So in other words, at one point she made ladybug caprese bruschetta, and people went online and went, wait a minute, you can find that on recipes that have been around since 2015, on food blogs and Pinterest pages, and even U.S. Lifestyle Magazine First for Women 2018, and Home Cooked Worlds in 2023 on TikTok. It's basically just baguette, pesto, mozzarella, basil, some tomatoes, some olives. There's not a whole lot to it. You know what I'm saying? But people were looking at a lot of the trailer going, she's copying things. But one of the main things that we noticed that she seemed to be copying was the Marchioness of Bath, was because she has her own cooking show. She has had a cooking show at the Longsally estate where she lives for 9 years, since 2015. She uses the original kitchen in her house to cook. This woman is one of the Celebrity Master Chef contestants. You should also know she's married to the 8th Marchioness of Bath since 2020, and she was the first Black Marchioness in British history. Interesting, she's had absolutely no problems being a member of the royal family. None at all. I think she has the life Megan wanted. She used to model for Dolce & Gabbana. She walked runway shows at Harrods. She's, was a model, all this kind of stuff. But that's not the only person that Megan copied. In case you guys were unaware, the Princess of Wales herself was pictured tending to a hive at Amer Hall in Norfolk in May of 2023. So, of course, here comes Megan in her beekeeping outfit. I don't know if Megan just thinks that the general public is so stupid or obtuse that they're not going to notice all the things she copied and her recipes, which basically came off a Pinterest board. Now, I'd like to thank Observer88 for this picture, which shows that Pamela Anderson had a cooking show with Love Pam that came out in 2024. And behind the scenes, some other people have put comments that look like somebody named Maria and Lupo did all the work behind the scenes. Now, the biggest thing is for Megan to say that she's elevated something, all she does is put mint leaves on it. That elevates it. Oh my God. Thank you to Kai Lear for this picture. And I want to also send out a big thank you to Eileen on Twitter, because it turns out that Megan's, her statement, her quote about take something ordinary and elevate it to something extraordinary, she stole that. That was said by Samuel Mockbee. I'm telling you, this woman doesn't have an original thought in her head. Now, we know Megan shut the comment section off on her Instagram, but Netflix left their comment section on. I'm going to let you guys free the screen and read these for yourselves. But let me tell you something. A lot of these comments are absolutely brutal. From people pointing out that the comment section was more interesting than the show itself, to saying kudos to Netflix for leaving the comments open. That took some balls. And other people asking Netflix for contract. By the way, it was also seen on X that cake that Megan made is a typical UK sponge cake. It's a UK thing. Now, one other thing, as the likes and dislikes and the thumbs up and thumbs down come in, as you can see here, first it was a little bit lower, and now I think it's hit like 41,000 thumbs down. People are roasting them. Now, to end this video, most of you may not know that Megan went to 56 different appearances, whether they were dinners or polo matches, and she spent over 102,000 pounds. That's about $130,000, which is an increase of 20,000 pounds from her clothing budget in 2023. So here you go, guys. Tell me what you think. Oh, I'm really looking forward to your comments on this one. So don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the links to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Patreon, which is currently paused, my Amazon wish list, and my physical address. For those of you who donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.